David Goggins, arguably the world's toughest man, but is his 2018 best-selling book any good, bad? Can I even read? Keep watching to find out more. What's going on, guys? It's Fairhead from Sales Unveiled once again, helping slash through a little bit less energetic this week, all of the misconceptions around sales and side hustles, and giving you some practical advice you can use in your day-to-day lives. So easily one of the hardest parts about working in sales or dealing with entrepreneurship in general is dealing with rejection and failure on a day-to-day basis. I mean, literally, I can't tell you the amount of side hustles that I've started only to burn out halfway through. It's 11 Fairhead. The answer's 11. Now, whilst I'm all in favour of self-improvement, who wouldn't be, I'm definitely against wishy-washy self-help books which usually promise a lot to people only to have them spend a lot of money and not get the desired results that they want. That being said, David Goggins has been getting a lot of attention, not only for his mindset, but for his lifestyle as well. I mean, the dude's literally a machine. I think he's got the world record actually for the most amount of pull-ups, which is insane. I mean, this guy can barely do one. Lockdown life definitely hasn't been easy for me. So in the video today, we're going to talk about what I like about the book, what I don't like about the book, and if I recommend you grab it for your bookshelf / toy collection. Hey Batman. Let's jump into it. So point one about what I like about the book is incredibly motivational. So whilst motivation is definitely fleeting, reading this book, or better yet, listening to the audiobook version, will definitely get you pumped up. Like seriously, when I was going for my midday runs and I had David screaming in my ear, I was genuinely running faster. His no-nonsense attitude is very much like having your very own drill sergeant. I really like to listen to this book on my commute to work. Maybe on the days where I'm feeling a little bit groggy or I don't really want to make sales calls, it really gets you in the right mindset to actually do the right things. And genuinely listening to his life story and some of the things that he's overcome, like losing 100 pounds in over 3 months. I mean, who does that? Just goes to show that anything is possible. And listening to this book will really get you fired up for the day ahead. Point two, the audiobook version. So I think this is genuinely the first time I've come across this in an audiobook, but at the end of every chapter, David has an interview with a ghostwriter of the book, which is really, really interesting actually, because it helps put some of the stories in context. And it helps you get a bit more of an understanding of David and what it is exactly that he's preaching. With these kind of books and with these kind of military people, it's very easy for some of their stories to sometimes, sway and maybe get the wrong thing said about them, but having David there really puts these kinds of things in context. What's even better is that sometimes these interviews actually help break up the monotony of the book, monotony, whatever it's called. And this basically just helps put things in perspective because, listening to someone ramble on about motivation and getting pumped and all those kinds of things can be a little bit draining at times. Like my bank balance, I need money. Please like and subscribe. Point three, it lays out the truth and the struggles. So when you're starting a business, it's very easy to get comparison envy, especially when someone else is succeeding and maybe you're not. And the same goes when you're working in sales, when maybe someone else is hitting target and you're maybe behind where you want to be or where you should be as well. Grass is always greener in those situations, and having a positive mindset in those spaces is going to be incredibly important. A lot of self-help books then talk more about the positives and the negatives and the wins rather than the losses. When that person brought in that massive deal rather than talking about the 7 or 8 meetings that didn't go their way. Not the case with David Goggins and Can't Hurt Me. In fact, a lot's been said actually about the fact that he lost 100 pounds in over 3 months, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. And David talks a lot about some of the trauma that's gone on in his life. He talks about the heart problem that he had, as well as the fact that he was severely bullied at a young age. This honesty and clarity really helps put things in perspective. And so when David says things like, when you're really feeling burnt out, you're only 40% done, you kind of believe the guy from what he's kind of gone through. Now, like every book in the marketplace, there are things that work and things that don't work. So what are the 3 things that I didn't really take away and didn't really enjoy about the book? Let's jump into them. Point one, you miss out a lot in the paperback version. So if you like reading paperback books, perfectly fine, but I think this is one of those rare instances where having the audiobook version is actually going to do a lot more for you than the paperback version. For example, in the audiobook version, you get the interviews with David putting things in context. In the paperback version, it doesn't really highlight some of those key things, which is a big no-no in my opinion, especially when they're priced roughly around about the same amount. So in my opinion, opt for the audiobook and avoid the paperback if you can. Point two, it can be style over substance. So whilst this book is definitely motivating, it's a glorified biography. David knows this, and so there's some definite things that you're going to have to do if you want to get takeaways from this book. So for example, let's say if you want to lose weight or join the military, then this book definitely has some actions and some practical steps you can implement today to actually achieve those goals. However, if there are wider goals that you want to work on, whether it's, maybe starting a business or working on things like social anxiety, for example, you do need to be a bit more nuanced on what you take away from this book. Coming to your own conclusions instead of treating this book as gospel. Point 3, the book is very to the point. So there's no grey areas with David Goggins. He's very to the point and he can rub people the wrong way because of that. Now, whilst this was an issue for me personally, some of my friends who have read his book or listened to the audiobook version did find him to be a little bit too aggressive in the way he came across and some of the things that he wanted to kind of get to. And there's definitely something to be said for coming to the conclusion in the same way, but just elaborating it in a different method there as well. So if you are the type of person who's afraid of bad language or all those kinds of things, you know, you might want to avoid this one and get the clean version instead, but it does lose some of the oomph if you ask me personally on that as well. The moment of truth. So do I recommend David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me? Overall, I think it's a fantastic book. It's a book that's definitely useful for motivation, so long as you use it in particular instances and don't rely on it on a crutch. So if you're listening to this book every single day without actually taking the action you need to achieve your goals, then you're doing something wrong. But listening to this book in those situations where you may be feeling a little bit down can definitely help you. Like I mentioned, for me, when I don't want to make my sales calls, but I know I have to, listening to this for about 5 or 10 minutes on some of the chapters that I've got bookmarked definitely helped me. One of the things I would say though is that by recommending this book, I am only recommending the audiobook. I wouldn't recommend the paperback version, as sometimes those things can be lost in translation, and the audiobook helps put things in perspectives. So that's it for the video today, guys. Please do leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on Can't Hurt Me, or if there are any other motivational or business books you want me to kind of focus in on the channel. I know we've been very sales focused over the past couple of weeks, but there is going to be a little bit more business and side hustle content coming up there soon, so stay tuned for that. Please do like and subscribe, hit that bell notification, and until the next video, we'll see you soon. Have a good one. Bye.